And then in terms of where we're trying to take the brand moving forward is that we wanted that when you think of the best value, highest quality supplements in the world, that when you think of watches, you think of Swiss watches. When you think of proteins, you think of Canadian protein.
We're going to be talking about what differentiates Canadian protein from other brands and what we've done in order to make that happen. So I think what would be interesting for people to know is how you came to, find out about Canadian protein.
Yeah, so I've been working here for, I think since 2018 or 2019 or so. But what's interesting is I originally came to know about Canadian protein back in probably 2014, 2015 as a consumer, not even knowing that Canadian protein was your brand, made in Windsor, made in Canada. And I'm originally from Windsor, but I was living in Montreal at the time. And when I was living in Montreal as a university student, I was dead ass broke, but I was working out all the time, right? And so I knew I was looking for a protein powder that was a high quality protein powder. And I went to a local supplement shop that was there. And I was asking the guy, and I was usually buying Optimum Nutrition and a few other brands. Diesel was another one I was buying a lot of back in the day. And I was asking the guy, I'm like, man, like this, I was looking at Optimum Nutrition. It was just so freaking expensive. I'm like, man, is there anything else that you would suggest? And this guy barely spoke English. And it was super jacked though, the guy that worked behind the counter. And I'm like, hey, is there anything else you'd recommend that is high quality but is a better price? And he went down to the edge of the store. He had a whole little section on the bottom shelf. He's like, this is called Canadian protein.
Oh, they carried it in the store.
Yeah.
Oh.
They carried it in the store.
I thought he suggested to buy it online.
No.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, he was wholesaling it.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Way back in the day. And so it was the old bag design and everything. And he said, yeah, this product here is a very high quality product bought in bulk. It's the 5 kg bags back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, this is your best kind of like quality and price per kilogram, price per pound.
Interesting.
That you can find. It's just not flashy in terms of the packaging. He's like, I've got lots of people that love this product.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I asked him about the flavors. I'm like, what do you recommend? And he's like, the strawberry milkshake. Or I don't know if it had a different name back in the day, but
yeah, it would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
But I think it was the strawberry that I bought first.
It would have been just strawberry.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And I remember taking it home and like, oh man, this is delicious. And I ended up buying it like quite a few times afterwards. Probably,
that's crazy.
Yeah, 2014, 2015, because in 2016 I moved back to Windsor. But all that time I was buying those like Canadian protein products. And then I moved back to Windsor. And I went through a stretch of time where I wasn't really consuming like supplement products that much. And then fast forward, I guess like 2 years or so, then to finally kind of meeting you. And then I found out that when I first found out about you and your brand, I found out that you were the owner of Canadian Protein. I was like, holy fuck, I know that company. Like I've literally been consuming their products for years.
That's crazy. Yeah. So to touch on, the fact that guy was like, it's just, the packaging isn't flashy or anything like that. That's literally the hole in the market that I had found, being also somebody that didn't have a lot of money, couldn't spend a lot of money on supplements and protein powders like that, and wasn't willing to do it. Which is why I decided to start a brand that separated itself on, on a store shelf. When you have a bunch of reflective packaging, all kinds of colors, this and that, when everything's all relative, right? So when you throw a very basic design in the mix of very complicated designs, it's the basic design that actually ends up standing out. So it was something that I found and thought that would be very different in the market and would allow me to differentiate the brand from everyone else, really. And then even fast forward a few years from that, I always knew that there was a lack of trust in the industry. So one of the things that I implemented was, batch testing for all of our products across the board, so that people could run the lot numbers with our app or on the website and confirm, that product was tested for quality and safety. I feel like that was one of the things that separated ourselves and built trust in the brand. And we were for sure one of the first brands to ever adopt something like this.
And I would say nowadays, the things that differentiate, like when I'm having sales calls, for example, or people asking about our products, I say, I'm like, listen, there are products out in the market that are cheaper than Canadian protein. There are products out in the market that look flashier, that have the biggest influencer marketers, yada, yada, yada. But where Canadian Protein positions itself is it's one of the best tasting products on the market, hands down. And people unanimously agree upon that. It's great tasting products. 2, it's very high quality products with no fillers. So many protein products in the market nowadays have fillers of various kinds. 3, it's a very competitive price for that taste and quality that you're getting. 4, it's really simple to use the website, and it's extremely fast shipping, free shipping Canada-wide over $100, right? So people are looking for that fast shipping. And then finally, really good customer service. It's something that it was still our Achilles heel a little bit over the last couple of years previously, but it has been getting better and better and better. And especially now, I feel like that we're really offering top quality customer service, and we're constantly looking for ways to get even better at providing customer service.
And to be honest with you, I think one of the biggest things that actually differentiates us as a company as a whole is our ability to take constructive criticism and take that criticism and utilize it and change or adapt to whatever, say customers are suggesting that we do. We take everybody's, criticism and constructive viewpoints to heart. We don't disregard it. We listen to people. One of the things that early on for Canadian Protein, even prior to Canadian Protein, I was very much under the impression that I wanted to solely compete on price. And as a brand started to mature, I realized that that was not the right model to follow. The reason why that's not the right model to follow, and a lot of new brands think it is because anybody can compete on price. It ends up being a race to the bottom, and that's not what you want for your brand. What you want for your brand is to differentiate on intangibles like customer service, like, brand identity, brand equity, formulations, flavors, things like that are harder to replicate. They're not impossible, but they're harder to replicate. And that should be your value proposition, not, their stuff is decent and it's cheap. That's not what you want your brand to stand for, because anybody can come into the market and chase you to the bottom.
And I'd say the final thing in terms of the Canadian Protein branding specifically, I remember when I first started with you, we had lots of phone calls and conversations around that you felt like Canadian Protein wasn't actually a brand. It wasn't
a brand?
No, that it didn't have like a brand. It didn't have a person. It was a brand, but it didn't have like a personality behind it. And one of the things that we kind of worked on developing over the last couple of years is that the brand really is, and you actually described this once, but it's almost like a brand personification of someone like myself. Not extreme into fitness, but someone who takes health seriously, that wants high quality products, but not the highest possible, but high quality products for great value. And that's something that is accessible to everyone. Right? We really, and this is actually this is the truth. We have customers that are young all the way up to customers in their 80s and 90s.
I've also even seen pro bodybuilders. There was a couple, who were those? You probably don't even remember, but I remember a couple pro bodybuilders just coming through on the website and ordering our products, and oddly enough, they were also sponsored by other brands. I remember seeing that. It was hilarious.
We've had Olympians buy from us before. We've had professional athletes.
A lot of CFL players. A lot of CFL players I see.
And so when you really think about all the way down to literally today, my aunt, who has never bought protein powder in her life, texted me saying, "Hey, I'm lactose intolerant and I have a couple other things. Here's my goals. What should I buy?"
Interesting.
And so you really, and she went to Canadian Protein because she knows that that's it's a great brand for her. And so you really have every single person out there who's just a consumer of sports supplements, protein powders, that this is a brand for everyone. Right? And when you look at other competitor brands, let's say, for example, like Apple in the electronics industry, Apple is trying to be a brand for everyone as well, right? And it's very simple, high quality, great value, and something that's very accessible. That's really what we've tried personifying in the Canadian Protein brand.
So one of the brands that here's something that might interest people. I never actually looked to the nutritional industry for brand inspiration. I actually think they've done a very poor job. for the most part. I've actually looked towards Nike, Apple, for inspiration. And like what you just described, simplistic, easy to use, high quality. Those are things that I wanted to embody in the Canadian Protein brand. And I think that comes through with our packaging design, with our website design, with the quality of the product, with how the website even operates. I think that's a proponent of me looking to juggernauts of other industries and not necessarily staying within that, confined box of the sports nutrition industry, because as a whole, I don't think they do the greatest job.
And then in terms of where we're trying to take the brand moving forward, is that we wanted that when you think of the best value, highest quality supplements in the world, that when you think of watches, you think of Swiss watches. When you think of proteins, you think of Canadian protein.